Saturday morning, the Experts program continues here on Power Talk Radio. We're kicking it off for the 7th of May. And joining us is Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group. Good morning, Luis.
Good morning, Mark. How are you on this gorgeous weekend day?
I'm doing well. It's a great day. The PG Good Old Days is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday in downtown Pacific Grove. So I'm looking forward to that and plan on heading down there and checking it out, which I think will be a lot of fun. And there's
Excellent.
a car show. Actually, the parade is this morning at 10 o'clock, going on as we speak. And since we're recording this on Friday, I'm actually going to be in the parade with my car Saturday morning, along with the other members from the Gold Coast Rods Club. We'll be out there in the parade. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, Ronnie and I are going over to Carmel to their MCVGA wine event that they're doing at that park on Mission and 6th. They're going to have a bunch of local wineries pouring and some food and vendors, and some friends and us decided, hey, let's take advantage of the weekend afternoon. We know that Carmel tends to be a little cooler than the rest of the peninsula at times, so we'll be bundled up, but we're hoping to have a good time out there.
And then Sunday morning, you'll be calling back down to South Florida to talk to your mom. Wish her happy Mother's Day.
Talking to Mom, yeah. Already, her flowers are on her way. I actually had them showing up tomorrow because I always thought it was kind of silly having them show up at Mother's Day. Why not give it to her early and let her enjoy them?
Sure. Hey, speaking of that, I remember years ago on Mother's Day, back in the days before cellular telephones became ubiquitous, that if you were trying to call out of state or cross country on Mother's Day, a lot of times you couldn't get a dial tone.
Yeah.
The trunks were busy because everybody was calling their mom all over the country. Is that an issue with cell phones now? Do you get the all circuits are busy kind of thing, or?
You can at times, especially the last major time it happened was during the fires, where there were certain areas in Northern California where everybody was on the cell phone trying to call and check in on friends and see, were they impacted, or also, calling firefighters to ask for help, and all the circuits got swamped.
Right.
You can add capacity to a certain extent as you learn from these things, but there comes a point in time when everybody picks up the phone and dials, you're just going to overwhelm the system.
Right. So kind of the funny thing was that all those years that you'd get the phone lines get overwhelmed, the trunks would get overwhelmed on Mother's Day, but they never seemed to have that problem a month later on Father's Day.
Yeah, that's usually because, unlike mothers that tend to sit around waiting for those calls, dads just went about their business and barbecuing and doing, looking at it as it's a holiday for them to go fishing or do other things.
True. Beyond the reach of the phone. All right, exactly. So let's dive into today's topic, and that is that Apple, Google, and Microsoft are moving towards a passwordless future, and so not even two-factor authentication. What are we talking about here, and what's it going to look like?
Yeah, so this has been a real challenge. Microsoft, independently, these three major tech companies have been working on an initiative to eliminate the password as the weak link in logging into some either website or applications, things like that. But they've been operating on their own and basically siloed within their environments. And the problem with that is that if it doesn't work for everybody, then nobody's going to use it, right? Because it's going to be like a one-off solution. So they've joined forces and said, hey, no, we're going to develop this technology jointly and make it available, not just to our companies, but make it available to anybody that wants to use the underlying technology that we're going to develop to eliminate the need for passwords. As you pointed out right now, we have a layer of security called multi-factor authentication, where you put in your user ID and password, and then you're prompted to enter a code, or a text is sent to you on your phone with the code that you then enter. Otherwise, you can't get in. And the idea there is to prevent people from either guessing passwords or learning what your password is and being able to get into your sites and either spy on you or steal them from you. So the passwordless concept is actually out there in some extent. Some people have call it version 1 of these things. And the idea is that you go in to the site and you put in your user ID. And then based on that, it will text you, or you will use an app to get a code that then you either enter, or ideally you have to press a button to get in, and then it lets you into that site. The weak link there, of course, is, well, if somebody is holding a gun to your head and they tell you to log into something and you got your phone with you, then they're going to be able to get you to do it. Or if you don't use any sort of code to get into your phone, or biometrics to get into your phone, it's open to anybody, then everybody can see that code coming across. This takes it a little further and really makes the technology sticky to your phone or to your tablet, whichever one you decide to encode it to. So it's very specific. It uses, theoretically, based on what I've been reading, it'll use biometrics or some other non-password system to allow you access. But then you'll eliminate the need to remember a password. You'll just put in your user ID, whatever that happens to be. For most of us, it's email address, and then you will get to log in after you authenticate with your phone.
Okay, so I guess, looking at any flies in the ointment or flaws in this idea would be if, somebody comes to your workstation and you've left your workstation open, they go ahead and put in your username, which is your email address, and then back comes, over the email comes that code that you put in. They just go to your email, which might well be open, and bingo, they're in. So there's nothing that's really foolproof.
No, there isn't. And at least initially, I suspect that you will have to opt in for this kind of additional way or alternative way to log in, because not a lot of people will want to do it in many places. For example, in California is one of those. If you have your employees use their phone for any business purposes, then you're required to reimburse them at least partially for the use of their phone, because, it's not something that you gave them. It's something they purchased on their own and are paying for on their own. So a lot of big companies are really shy to force employees to use their smartphones for anything because it's an expensive proposition. So what do you do in those cases? Well, you stick to the old way of doing things with a user ID and password and potentially an email code that comes to your company email that then you type in to go into that site.
Luis Alvarez, CEO of the Alvarez Technology Group, has been our guest today, and he'll be back with us Monday morning. And looking ahead to Monday, Luis, what are we going to be talking about? Something about the mute button not actually muting?
Yeah, we always were worried that our devices were listening to us. Well, we may not be too far off, and we'll learn more about that on Monday.
That's right, starting in the 8 o'clock hour here on Power Talk Radio. AlvarezTG.com is the website, @AlvarezTG. That's the Twitter handle, and Luis, the toll-free number for the I-Team.
Give us a call at 866-78-I-Team. That's 866-784-8326.